This afternoon, the minority is mounting pressure on President Akufo-Addo's government to cushion Ghanaians in the face of escalating fuel prices. Diesel is selling for more than 23 cedis, whilst petrol is hovering around 18 cedis. Now, speaking to journalists, minority spokesperson on energy, JoyNews, said government has been making supernormal profits from the rising prices of crude on the international market and must use that to cushion the Ghanaian consumer.
Fuel that was selling at 6.5 CD per liter has now increased by 300% in less than 1 year. The price of fuel at the pump has increased by more than 300%. Indeed, today, fuel is more costly than even the minimum wage. I've never witnessed that in my life. Today, as we speak, a gallon of diesel sells at about 105 Ghana cedi. This government is making so much money from the Ukraine-Russian war. In the 2022 budget, government projected that it will receive a total amount of about 6 billion for the whole of 2022. That is what was projected in the budget. Today, as we speak, from the PIAC report, in less than 3 months, and I mean just 1 quarter, government has received over 8 billion cedis from our petroleum resources. So in 3 months, government has received more than it projected for the whole year. So government is making supernormal profit. In fact, even the price stabilization and recovery levy, which is supposed to subsidize fuel, government projected that in the first 2 quarters, it will receive 269 million. As we speak, from the Ministry of Finance's own record, government has received about 800 million. And so this notion that government is not making revenue is a fallacy. It's a complete falsehood. Government is making so much money from our petroleum resources. I therefore call on President Akufo-Addo and the outgoing Minister of Finance that they should do something about this price increment. These difficult moments, if it means that government has to use part of our petroleum resources to subsidize fuel, let them do that. Moreover, there's a price stabilization and recovery levy. It is there to subsidize fuel.
Exactly.
It has accumulated a lot of money, and they should apply that money.
What John Jinapor described as wishful thinking, an announcement by the president that government was working to secure affordable fuel for the Ghanaian market, questioning where the government will get that from.
We are saying that the government can apply these supernormal profits to cushion the ordinary consumer. That's what we are saying. And we've demonstrated to you that government is getting more than it required even in the first quarter. We've demonstrated to you that the price stabilization levy, instead of the 260 million, they've gotten about 800 million. We're also adding to the call of President Mahama that the Tema oil refinery, as a matter of urgency, with immediate effect, should process Ghana's domestic crude. That can give us about 45,000 barrels of processed crude every day. That will put a less of a burden on the need for forex. This is not rocket science. This is something we attempted doing by giving Tema Oil Refinery 2 million barrels of oil from the 10 fields under President Mahama. This government took over and sold that barrels of oil. And so something can be done. The president says he's going to look for cheaper oil. From where?
From APAM.
And he did not even give us timelines. These wishful thinkings would not solve the problem. The only thing that will solve it is a practical way, and we have enumerated steps that the president can take in order to address the challenge that we are going through.
Well, meantime, industries have agreed to pay full charge for residual fuel oil to enable sustainable supply without any government subsidy. This is a resolution agreed with the Association of Ghana Industries and the National Petroleum Authority after it emerged that the product was in short supply due to the inability of government to pay the subsidies on time. Here's Head of Economic Regulation at the National Petroleum Authority, Abbas Dasunti.
The price stabilization and recovery levy is supposed to be self-financing. As I said, the Energy Sector Levies Act says that this levy is supposed to be used to pay for subsidies on premix fuel and residual fuel oil. So what you generate is what you can use to subsidize. Now, I've explained that the prices on the world market have risen, exchange rate has risen significantly. As the prices and the exchange rate rise, it translates into price at the pump. So ideally, we should be passing these increments to the pump. But as you know, because these two products are subsidized, the increment is not passed on to the consumers, which is the premix fuel consumers and the residual fuel oil consumers. It has led to accumulation of debt, which is under recovery to be paid to the importers. Because of the inability of this fund to raise enough revenue to pay for this subsidy that has accrued, the suppliers of residual fuel oil have refused to sell the product. So the industry is not getting access to the RFO at all. Now, as a regulator, our focus is not only to ensure that the product is priced appropriately, we also have to ensure availability of the product. On non-payment of subsidies is causing a shortage of RFO on the market. And in fact, the industry has been struggling with this for the past 1 month, in fact, more than 1 month. Last week, we had companies come into this building saying that we should do something for them to get the product. So the solution for them now, and like I said, we've also engaged AGI. We have been torn between availability and of the product, which is RFO, or they going for the alternative, which is diesel. Diesel is more expensive. So we have agreed that let's take off the subsidy for now, let them have the product available, because the product is available, but the companies are refusing to sell, because they will sell at a loss now if they should sell it. And therefore, for the past 2 weeks, the company that has imported RFO has not sold the product, even though it's in tank. So the focus now is to make sure that the product is available for the industry to have access to it, so the manufacturing of products can go on in the country.
Well, let's talk about a different kind of fuel, because soybeans processors are warning that prices of cooking oil will continue to surge if government continues to neglect the challenges of players in the industry. According to the processors, Ghana's soybeans are all exported to India to be processed into cooking oil and soybean cake, and then the country imports those products at higher prices. Now, leading soybeans processor, also convener of the Rice Millers Association, Yao Dupoku, joins me in studio to talk a bit more about this. So how critical is the situation we are in right now, sir?
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to the viewers. The challenges are real, and I don't see an end to it soon. So we'll be going through this charade every season and every season. But at a certain point, it has to come to an end. I hope this platform will help us to get out of it. You asked the question, what are the challenges facing soy processing in Ghana? About 10 years ago, we had about 12 soya processing companies. 3 of them could refine the crude oil into vegetable oil. Now, I think it's only 1 or 2 who are still refining the cooking oil. It is not because we cannot or we don't have a market for the cooking oil. The situation is that you need to bring the soy and process. Out of the process, you squeeze the crude oil, and the cake is given to the poultry industry. So it goes hand in hand. Vegetable oil goes hand in hand with poultry. Beautiful. And so before you can get poultry feed, you need the soy cake, which adds protein to the animal feed. And it's about 28% that you add to the volume. The rest is made up of maize, and then you put the chemicals into it. So without soy, the poultry industry will collapse, and that is what is happening currently. All the talk, all the hulabaloo has not addressed the main issue. And so we are just going round and round and round and round. And next year I'll come and sit here and say the same thing again.
Well, you talk about next year, but we can't afford to talk about the same thing next year because of the impact you're seeing right now on us, the rising cost of cooking oil. If you go to the markets right now, people cannot afford. And this is something that we can produce right here in the country. And so how can government, or what can government do? I know that we want to export to India and make some money, but we are killing our local industries as well. And so we have to streamline things. What are your suggestions?
It is accidental, the exportation of soy cake, soya milk to India. It's an accidental thing. The whole thing is that you need to put in capital to be able to get the processing going. The capital injection is not there because all of us, one way or the other, fall foul of the financial institutions. Because the financial institutions, as they stand now, do not understand agriculture financing. And that's a fact. And so they give agriculture financing just like trading financing. So it never works. Agriculture financing should come from patient capital. And then you will nurse it and let it mature. So if you give a processor or a farmer money and you tell the processor or the farmer to pay every 30 days, it is a no-no, it won't work. And that is what has happened. And so all the soya industry took a nosedive because we could not get the equipment to process the soy. And soy is not like maize. You cannot eat it.
Yeah.
It has to go through a process. In that process, you get the soy cake, which is given to the animal feed industry, and then you get the crude oil. The crude oil cannot be eaten immediately, so you need to process it further. And to do that, you need to put in capital. That is something the bank do not understand and will not do. And so all the soya processing plants have collapsed. Just one or two is working. And that will not even get to 2%.
And we've seen the impact on our local poultry industry because now farmers are struggling for feed. They import feed at a high cost. And we've seen the cost of the poultry products shoot up. We are heading to the festive season now. I understand there are going to be astronomical increases as well, and so people cannot afford poultry, and the businesses are also collapsing. So we are in a big situation right now that needs fixing. I also want to talk about rice, which is also another commodity that has gone up recently because of what we are seeing across the world. Tell us a bit more about the challenges the rice millers are facing.
Same situation that you find in the soya industry, same situation with the rice, and even worse. Rice is a product that is very sensitive to the weather. Just after the harvest, the harmattan comes in and dry the rice in the pot. And so by the time you are processing, it's already broken. And when it's broken, it loses about 60-70% of its value. And that is what is happening in the system. We have been praying, preaching, telling anyone who will listen that we need to put rice storage into the system. One person doing it will be a very difficult task. We need to put silos across the rice growing areas so that the rice will be preserved and that we can have rice throughout the year. Right. That is not happening. So now that we are harvesting, everybody is in a hurry to mill the rice as much as you can. If your milling capacity is 5 tons an hour, you cannot do 50 tons an hour. And so you have a limited quantity coming out. The rest will meet the harmattan, and so you have a problem. Coupled with that, compounding the situation, now that Nigeria closed their borders to imports of commodities, they have all made a beeline to other West African countries, especially Ghana. As I'm talking to you today, you go up north where we are harvesting, prices are shooting per the day because the Nigerians can afford to take it. Travel with it all the way to Nigeria and mill the paddy.
Here we are importing rice.
Yes, that is the irony of it. That's the irony. Right now, Ghana, this year, we may make about 1.2 million metric tons of paddy. Translated into processed rice will be about 60% of that. So we are looking at about 600,000, 700,000 metric tons of rice into the system. That would have been beautiful, but no. We may be able to get 300, 350,000 metric tons.
And you know, in the past, the excuse was, oh, we don't have enough rice in the country, locally to produce, and so that's why people are exporting. Do you still buy that argument at this point? Because I know that towards the end of last year, there was this push to get people to buy locally made rice. So a lot of nicely packaged local rice, and caught on. People were actually doing so.
The point is that we don't have enough milling in the system, milling machinery in the system. And so you put all our capacity together, per annum, we may be able to exceed 300,000 metric tons to a country that is eating 1.2, 1.4 million metric tons. So it tells you the inadequacy of the system. It's not the rice not being there. The paddy is there. We don't have the capacity to mill. And because we don't have the capacity to mill, it's, backlog. And when it backlogs, the Harmattan deals with it, the dry season deals with it. And so the rice breaks. And to give the farmer relief, the Nigerians come in and pick the rice paddy, and the Indians come in and pick the soya. They pick the soya to India, process it, and bring back the cake, not the original cake. They bring GMO cake. And that is what is fed into the poultry industry. Whilst the rice too, we are short.
Well, I mean, we know the problem, we know the solutions, but we are not seeing the solutions, the government fixing the problems based on the solutions that we have identified. And so it makes you wonder what to do next. I know that you guys have been pushing for a lot of investments in the local. Is anybody giving you a listening ear?
Yesterday, we launched the Competitive African Rice Platform, an affiliate of the ECOWAS Rice Observatory, under the ECOWAS Secretariat in Abuja. Yesterday, we launched it officially, and that is going to put all the stakeholders and the players in the rice sector together so that we will have better dialogue with government, better dialogue with the public. All this is made towards getting a better understanding of the situation and bringing solutions to it.
My last question to you, if we don't fix this, I don't want to say in the short term because we don't have so much time, what sort of impact do you foresee in the near future? We are already seeing signs.
You see, fortunately for us, we have someone who went to help Nigeria to do what they did. The Reform Project, which was originated from the Jack Foundation, that's John Ajekum Kufuor Foundation. They went to Nigeria and helped to do the Reform Project.
What?
That man is still here with us. He's called Honorable Juma Odum.
Wow.
He is here with us. And as I know, Sierra Leone has called him to come and help them do. Mali has called him. Has Ghana called him? I don't know. So what you're saying, we're going to have... It's
happening right now because, I mean, the solution is not too far away from us if we really want to fix this.
If we want to fix it, it can be fixed. We can be net exporters of rice and soy. We can value add it. It can be done within the next couple of years if it falls into the right ears, if we get the resources that is needed. We are not saying give it out and never comes. We are saying give it and let it be paid with interest. But who is listening? Nobody. So Ghana will continue to import soya cake and even import tomato. That is the situation we find ourselves in.
Meantime, prices keep going up, and it's a wake-up call to everybody and those who have to fix the situation as it is. Thank you so much, Eya Edupoku, who is convener of the Rice Millers Association, also a leading processor of soybeans, helping us understand what the situation is. Appreciated. Well, let's move on to some other topic we are following for you. Elon Musk has said Twitter will charge $8 monthly for Twitter users who want a blue tick by their name indicating a verified account as part of changes after a $44 billion takeover of the social media site. Mr. Musk said it was essential to defeat spam or scam. A blue tick symbol next to a username, normally for high-profile figures, is currently free, and there are fears the move could make it harder to identify reliable sources. Joining us is Marketplace Tech Pundit, also lead for Eyes of Africa, Henry Kobler. Good to see you, Henry. It's been a while. I take it Elon Musk is devising ways to make up for the amount he spent on acquiring Twitter, $44 billion. Or do we buy his claim that this is essential to defeat spam?
Generally, might not necessarily be about the money. I mean, if you really look at the press he put out there on Twitter about why he bought Twitter, it does not really indicate so much that he's really interested in the money. I think that he's just looking at a system where he's putting in place to sort of take some level of control and also to give some people some liberty on the platform. But generally, it might not necessarily be about money for him. But again, like you mentioned, it's really going to be a bit difficult to sort of give some people leverage on the platform. I mean, social media is supposed to be selling the eyeballs, not necessarily to be putting in money. I mean, the whole system of advertisements coming in and all of that deals with marketers or other people rather paying to make social media a place to really live a free life. And so if you look at the tweets which he put out there to say that the bed is spread, and you're letting out the bird, but in the point, you're also having to have some couple of dollars string attached to the bird. Then it becomes a bit difficult to have some people have some leverage on the platform. But again, it also comes into a different light where when you're paying on social media, you're sort of having some level of privacy in terms of your use of information or data on the platform. And so it comes with its own advantage. I think that the next couple of days, to which he's given the engineers almost about a week to sort of redesign the advertisement system and then the verification system, I think that it will make sense when there's a proper press release on this. But I think that in general, it's really going to give the platform some level of leverage, but again, also take some people out.
How do you reckon this will play out? We all love the blue tick, but do you think people are really going to pay for it?
You should look at what LinkedIn is doing. I mean, how many people really go to the professional part of LinkedIn when they have to pay so much? Unless, of course, they realize that there's a lot of noise that is sort of coming into their DMs and other things, and so they sort of have to like leverage or pivot about that. And so for me, if you're looking at what is even happening with Netflix and all, where people are sort of going off the subscription model to have some level of free life, and then if you look at the Netflix now introducing advertisements, to have people rather pay rather than having the users who are enjoying the content pay, it sort of tells you a lot about the culture of the people. If you're looking at TikTok as well, where, I mean, it rather pays content providers and also now leverages on the views of people on there, you realize that the system basically is changing from people making so much input to the people that really want to have their marketing prowess out there. So I don't know his understanding in terms of how he's going to play out in some level of monthly fees, but I think that in the next couple of weeks we'll sort of understand that.
And Henry, there are concerns about how he's running Twitter. He's fired the board, top managers. He appears to be the sole director. If I were an investor, I would be concerned.
You should be, but definitely it's his company now, and I'm sure that this had actually gotten a long string right from April when he made that announcement and all. But again, it's also a point where you're looking at the successes. I mean, if you're looking at a string of businesses, he's sort of getting along. I mean, if you look at how Tesla is sort of making waves, I mean, experience that firsthand, you'd understand that, I mean, he's competent in running what he really wants. And so his ideologies basically comes to play in how he runs his businesses. And so it does not matter if there are a couple of people sitting on the desk to definitely make the decisions on the platform, or it's him throwing his ideologies on the platform. But the point is that he's competent enough to sort of run a business. He's done that before, and so investors will definitely look at his track record and be able to invest in the company.
It's all about his track record, and I know you like to draw lessons. So what can Ghanaian techpreneurs learn from all of this?
Yeah, I mean, number one, I think that when you're having businesses, you should always look at how you're going to exit. It's one of the things that Ghanaian businesses don't look at. We always want to be so people to the business, so we don't want to let go of the business at a point. And so you should realize that at a point, you could definitely believe in the company, and so you should have your exit plan at the start of your company. Secondly, I think that you should also look at how do you envision businesses that are out there. I mean, there are quite a number of startups that are out there that are looking for investors, but how do some of these investors really envision some of these businesses and are able to take over and make a better place with them? I mean, he basically is looking at making Twitter a better place. He's looking at introducing a lot of models into the business. And so I think that there are quite a number of startups that are struggling in Africa, where you can have proper investors pick up these startups and make good use of it rather than to leave them to die and go through it. The last thing I'll definitely say is this. Look, Elon had to drag this because of due diligence. He wanted to make sure that the numbers that Twitter is putting out there is correct. And that is one of the things that I sort of fear for a lot of African startups, where we sort of put the numbers and throw it out to investors. You should realize that when an investor starts coming in, they're going to really look at the numbers that you're channeling or you're putting as your make-up point. And so definitely, I think that integrity builds it for you, especially when you're having a good takeover.
All right, Henry Kobler, thank you as always for your perspective on tech matters. That's the marketplace, everyone. Thanks for watching. There is more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. 1 million Ghanaians could fall into poverty according to the World Bank, and Ghana's inflation rate is 148%. That's according to Professor Hank. You want to check that out, myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Daryl. We'll see you same time tomorrow.